Okay, so have you ever heard of tubular breasts? Maybe you're curious because it's something you're dealing with, or maybe you just, you're here for the knowledge.
Yeah.
Either way, this deep dive is all about unpacking this condition, what it is, what causes it, and what you can do about it if it's something, that you're concerned about.
Yeah, and you might notice that with this condition, the breasts can appear more elongated
Yeah.
or conical, almost like, a tube as opposed to that typical rounded shape that we're used to seeing.
Okay, so the source material definitely didn't shy away from the visuals at all. Like they actually used phrases like greater than 112 inches
Yeah.
to describe the gap that can exist between the breasts.
Right.
And they even mentioned how the nipples might point downwards, which, definitely paints a picture.
Yes, and those visual differences can unfortunately lead to some asymmetry, where one breast might look different from the other. And because the areola, that's the darker area around the nipple, might be stretched, it can give the breasts a droopy appearance.
So it's not just about the shape, but also how all the different parts of the breast relate to each other.
Exactly.
This makes me wonder, like, what causes this to happen in the first place? Is there some, like a tubular breast gene just, lurking out there?
That's a great question, and it leads us to one of the most fascinating and perhaps frustrating aspects of this condition.
Okay.
The exact cause is still being debated. We have two main theories.
Okay.
The first suggests that a genetic alteration during fetal development could be the culprit. If this is the case, then it would impact how breast tissue grows during puberty.
So, like, our blueprint for breast development might be getting tweaked very early on.
Exactly. The second theory focuses on the possibility of collagen irregularities.
Okay.
You see, collagen is a protein that provides structure and support to our tissues, so any irregularities in the breast could definitely impact its shape.
Okay, so it's amazing to think that something as fundamental as collagen could play such a significant role. But I guess that's often how it is with our bodies. The smallest things can have a big impact. So we've got these two main theories, one focusing on genes and the other on collagen. I'm guessing this means there's still a lot we don't know for sure.
That's right. And this really highlights something you see a lot in medicine.
Yeah.
We don't always have all the answers, and research is constantly evolving. That's why it's so important to, stay curious and keep learning.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning, I noticed that the source material used both the clinical term, tubular breasts, and the more casual phrase, tubular boobs. And I have to admit, seeing both terms side by side really struck me.
That's an interesting observation, and I think it reflects how people might experience this condition very differently. And some people might not even realize they have it, while others are, very self-conscious about it. It's a good reminder that we're talking about real people and their feelings, not just a medical textbook definition.
Yeah. You've hit on something really important there. It's so easy to get caught up in all the technical details. But ultimately, it's about how this condition impacts people's lives and their self-perception. So, with that in mind, how common this condition, are we talking, 1 in a million, or are there likely people listening right now who might have it and not even know?
That's a tough question to answer definitively because there's likely a lot of underdiagnosis happening.
Right.
The source mentioned that some women seeking breast augmentation might actually have mild cases of tubular breasts without realizing it. They might just be unhappy with their breast size or shape and not understand the underlying cause.
So it's possible that the number of people with tubular breast is actually much higher than we think.
It's very possible.
Yeah, it's almost like it's flying under the radar.
Hmm.
Which brings us to the question that I'm sure is on a lot of minds. Can this be fixed? And let's be upfront here. Is there anything you can do naturally to correct this?
I'm going to be very straightforward with you. There are no scientifically proven natural methods to correct tubular breasts.
Okay.
You might see claims about special exercises or creams online, but unfortunately those are often misleading.
But what about all the, anecdotal evidence you see online? People swear that certain exercises have worked for them.
I understand why that can be confusing,
Yeah.
but it's important to separate anecdotal evidence from scientific research.
Right?
Just because someone claims something worked for them doesn't mean it's a reliable solution for everyone.
Okay.
And when it comes to something as important as our health, we need to rely on evidence-based information.
That makes sense. So if natural fixes are off the table, what about surgery? I think that's what a lot of people are curious about.
Surgery is indeed the main option for addressing tubular breasts. It typically involves a combination of techniques to reshape the breasts, balance the areola size, and potentially add volume through augmentation.
That sounds like a pretty complex procedure.
It is. The source material really emphasized that it requires a skilled plastic surgeon because no two cases are exactly alike.
Right.
They went into detail about some of the techniques involved, like releasing constricted tissue and creating new breast folds,
Oh, wow.
which gives you a sense of just how intricate the surgery can be.
It's definitely not something to be taken lightly, that's for sure.
Absolutely not. It's a big decision, and finding a surgeon who specializes in this type of correction is crucial.
Hmm.
You want someone who truly understands the nuances of tubular breasts.
So it's not just about finding someone who can, do a good boob job.
Right.
It's about finding someone who really understands the intricacies of tubular breasts specifically.
Exactly. It's a specialized area of expertise.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground already. We've talked about what tubular breasts are, the possible causes, how common it might be, and the fact that there aren't any proven natural fixes. It seems like surgery is the most reliable option, but it's complex and requires a specialist. What else did our deep dive into the source material reveal?
Well, you might find it interesting that the source material actually delved into those two main theories that we discussed earlier.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about genetic alterations during fetal development?
Uh-huh.
The research suggests that specific genes involved in breast tissue development could be impacted, leading to that characteristic tubular shape.
Oh.
It's like a tiny glitch in the blueprint
Okay.
affecting how the breasts grow during puberty.
That's fascinating. So it's not just some random genetic hiccup.
Right,
There are specific genes that scientists are, looking at.
exactly. And on the collagen front, it seems that irregularities in the type or arrangement of collagen fibers within the breast tissue could be contributing to that constricted growth.
Okay.
Imagine like a scaffolding that isn't quite formed correctly. It would impact the overall structure.
That makes so much sense.
Mm.
So with all these intricate factors at play, it's no wonder that surgery is, the primary option right now.
Mm.
I mean, if it's a matter of genes and the very building blocks of our tissues, it's not something you can just, exercise away.
Right, precisely. And while we've, debunked those claims about natural fixes, it's understandable why people might be drawn to them.
Right.
We all want quick and easy solutions, especially when it comes to something as personal as our bodies.
I think you've hit on a really important point there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about, misinformation. It's about the emotional aspect of wanting a simpler solution.
Absolutely. And while surgery might seem daunting, it's important to remember that techniques are constantly evolving.
Okay.
The source material mentioned how surgeons are now focusing on creating a more natural-looking breast shape, taking into account individual anatomy and aesthetic goals.
So it's not just about correcting that tubular shape.
Right.
It's about creating a breast that looks and feels, harmonious with the rest of the body.
Right. That's the goal. And remember, this is a very individualized procedure. The specific techniques used will vary depending on the severity of the condition, the patient's desired outcome, and their overall health.
So if you're considering surgery, finding a surgeon who really listens to your concerns and, understands your individual needs is crucial.
Couldn't agree more. Now, while surgery is currently the most reliable option, this deep dive wouldn't be complete without considering the future.
Right.
Who knows what breakthroughs might be on the horizon?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I mean, with all the advancements in genetic research and tissue engineering, is it possible that someday we might be able to address tubular breasts without surgery?
It's an exciting prospect.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could pinpoint the exact genetic mutations involved and develop targeted therapies to correct them. Or perhaps we could create bioengineered scaffolds to guide breast tissue growth in a more natural way.
Wow, that would be incredible. It feels like we're on the cusp of so many possibilities in medicine. And even if surgery remains the primary option, I can only imagine how much more refined the techniques will become.
I agree. We might see even less invasive procedures with shorter recovery times and even more natural-looking results.
So for anyone listening who might be feeling discouraged or overwhelmed, there's definitely hope for the future.
Absolutely. And remember, knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
The more you understand about your own body, the better equipped you are to make informed decisions.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought. While the source material focused on the physical aspects of tubular breasts, it made me realize how much this condition can impact a person's self-esteem and body image.
That's an important point. And it highlights the need for more open